4. There we go. Okay, are we live yet? Let's find out. Checking. Yep, okay. All right, it is Friday, May 30th, 2025 at 4:59 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and we are in Starfield here. Now, like I said last week, I was hoping I would have the lore video on Atlantic City ready to go today. I am currently working on it still. Well, obviously not currently, but earlier today I was working on it. Up to actually just before I got on this. In fact, why don't I go show you what exactly I've been doing, which is, hey Jim Jam the Daft One, Oogle do to you as well. I was actually working on editing the audio, which you can hear, like, the hit on the Rose Room proved that this had failed. So then you can see that mostly what I'm doing here is, however disappointed, getting rid of a bunch, however disappointed of flubs. That's my entire day today, has been recording audio and then fixing it. So, hey Goodman, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Hope you all have had a good week. So again, this is basically what I've been doing. So again, I'm hoping to finish the audio today. I would love to think that I could finish the assembling the video tomorrow, but we're looking at my estimate, and again, I still have to edit the audio down to see what it's going to be. You can see here I'm already up to 55 minutes, basically. It's looking like it's going to be something like about 87 minutes long. At least that's what my estimate is based on the word count compared to other videos. So we'll see. I sincerely doubt I'll be able to edit an entire video together in one day that's 87 minutes long. We'll see, though. In the meantime, though, while we're here, we can talk about Starfield, which is, of course, where I'm going to be covering next when I'm covering Neon. But specifically along with that, I've done a lot of work on the charts. I've made a whole bunch of additional charts, and today we're actually going to visit all the planets on this chart. It's a 10-planet long chart here, and each one of them is a planet that has all 3 types of forests within Starfield. So I figured that would be an interesting thing to do, to go see the different different Earth-like planets you can find throughout the settled systems. Sorry about that. But yeah, again, hopefully next couple days I'll have the Atlantic City video done and out to y'all. Really looking forward to sharing that with y'all, because there's so much content there that I was just not expecting to find. But anyway, we are already on Alpha Andraste 3. I'll show you that, and we'll head on to Beta Marae 1 after that. Now again, all of these charts are currently available on my Google Drive. The link to that is already there at the description of the live stream. I'm sorry if I start flubbing what I'm saying now. My throat and mouth are just quite tired from having been reading that script all morning long. So I got about 40 minutes of it done last night, but then I did more recording today and ended up recording like 2 extra hours that will be, again, edited down to like 47 minutes when it's all said and done. So that tells you how good I am at reading my own words. Anyway, though, let's take a look. This is Alpha Andraste 3's deciduous forest. We can go ahead and take a look at their coniferous forest and tropical forest, but let's do more than like 2 seconds of walking around in it. I can actually pull this up on my phone, so I can, the chart, I mean, so that I can see what the other planets are. Let's see. Sorry, just 1 second. Okay, there it is. Yep. And so the other nice thing about my chart is it has all the planetary data, so that's why we fell so hard just then, is Alpha Andraste 3 has 1.44 Gs of gravity. So most of these planets are actually quite nice. Alpha Andraste 3 and Beta Marae 2 have higher gravity than Earth, so they'd be less lovely to live on than Earth, at least in my mind. Especially 1.44 Gs, that is a lot of extra weight to be carrying around all the time. But okay, so let's take a look at this, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at like the coniferous biome or the tropical biome. Let's see. There's deciduous. Where are we going here? There we go, tropical forest. Oh, yeah. And the thing about the Atlantic City script is, like, there's even still more stuff I could put in there, but at a certain point I realize I've got to be done with it, get it out to y'all. Because, like, there's so much backstory and stuff that they put into the different characters. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff I didn't put in there about how Tony Russo, like his view of Concerta and stuff like that, where basically he views her as being someone who wants power for the sake of having power and that nothing will ever be enough for her. It's a lot of interesting stuff. If you build all 8 bases on a planet and then build them up, do you essentially own that planet? I don't know. That's an interesting question. I mean, and the whole thing is, I think you can build actually up to 24 bases with the additional traits. Let's see real quick. Where is that? Is it... There it is. Okay. It's been a while. Let's see. Outpost engineering. No. Planetary habitation. Yeah. So you can build up to 24 if you max out the planetary habitation trait. You get an additional 4 per point. So you get up to 24. Which is enough to technically build a network of outposts that can harvest all harvestable resources, but it's very tight. And the way that the networking between outposts works doesn't really work all that well, at least the last time I checked it. So it's something that works in theory, not so much in practice. But again, oh yeah, Pack Lion Bear. That is the same model as the Ashta, which is the incredibly dangerous creatures that live on Aquila. Oh, that's not. Yeah, that one's definitely not. I don't know what that one was off the top of my head, but yeah, there's a Pack Lion Bear. Alright. So again, let's see if we can find a coniferous forest. And this is a good way to check and see if my charts are actually right. Because a lot of this data is stuff that I collected like a year and a half ago and then ended up putting into a chart later. So we'll find out. If I don't find a coniferous forest, then I'm going to have to go back in and take a look at it. There we go. All right. Definitely an interesting looking coniferous forest. Oh, and there you go. Twin tails. These things are called nightmares on Ixal 3, I think. Ixal 2, Ixal 3, something like that. They're definitely one of the creepier looking creatures. If I could get one of them to look at me, but also not try to kill me in the process. The fact that it says herbivore does not necessarily mean that it's not hostile. Yeah, they're pretty freaky, especially at night. Alright. And again, yeah, this is definitely one of the... I think these trees are some of the weaker coniferous trees I've ever seen, but... still interesting. It's interesting also that they're kind of... that they appear to be orange, which typically is like a sign of dying pine needles. Surely they haven't updated the game much because of how its release went. Well, they've actually done quite a few updates. The most recent one basically improved stability more than anything else and also allowed for additional stuff with the Creation Club. Basically bundling creations and increase the size of the creations. It's not really my thing. I prefer to have actual canonical content, but... Anyway, alright. Let's go ahead and check out Beta Marais. I know there are a lot of people out there that love mods, and that was great for them. So, let's back out here. And find Beta Marais, because I don't remember necessarily. There it is. Let's head to Beta Marais 1.
Weapons free. Let's take him down.
Ah, crap. This ship that I'm in is not very good. This character is my highest level character, but it's also a character that's just gone through the Unity, and so I've got this kind of crappy Starborn ship. Definitely something I would like to see changed. Like, it's probably... it feels... if they do a Starborn DLC, which is something I've heard of them talking about doing, then maybe they'll fix that. My thing would be, like, if we come through the Unity all the time, and we're a Starborn every time, and we get a Starborn ship, why can't it be the same ship? Why can't we take the ship with us through the Unity? So we've got deciduous forest, tropical forest, plateau up there. Seeing if I can find the coniferous forest here. Wetland. Again, like I said, this one is a little bit higher on gravity. 1.21 Gs. There we go, coniferous forest. I've got several charts that list Basically, I've got one that's all planets with life, all planets with life and breathable air, all planets with breathable air, all planets with forests, all planets with all the forests, which is this list, all planets with coniferous forest, deciduous forest, tropical forest. I'm working on one for all planets with swamps. That one's interesting, though, because not all planets that have swamps have life. So, alright, so you can see the difference here between Alpha Andraste 3's coniferous forest and Beta Marae 1's coniferous forest. That, oh god, those things are creepy. That is one thing that they definitely did really well in Starfield, is creepy spider creatures. What do we got over here? Yep. Got a fight going on. Alright. Let's take a look at these trees real quick. It's hard to tell because it could just be... Oops. Sorry, trying to open up a flashlight. There we go. These remind me a lot more, like, obviously not perfectly, but they remind me more of birch trees than coniferous trees. This is obviously coniferous, but anyway. Alright, let's check out, hopefully somewhere in more sunlight, a deciduous or tropical. There we go, deciduous. I really liked that screenshot. I popped in to check out a planet and ended up in an asteroid field surrounded by enemy ships. This is a deciduous forest. Ooh. This feels slightly reminiscent of the Reach in Skyrim, because we've got these kind of twisted, leafless trees in this rocky landscape. It's obviously nowhere near as craggy as the Reach is. Got a lot of ships coming and going, it sounds like. Is there some sort of settlement nearby? I guess you, I feel like I remember you live in northern England, if I'm not mistaken there. So, yeah. I think that's... That and Scotland is where a lot of the Reach was based on. In fact, I feel like I remember you saying you lived in Yorkshire, but... Okay. Deciduous forest. Let's go to tropical forest, if I can find that again. There we go. Yeah. I've been a big fan of York ever since I've done more reading about it. Really enjoy the fact that it's like ancient Roman city that was then quite big during Anglo-Saxon times, and the Vikings took it over, and anyway. Oh man, look at that. That thing... Oh, it's an herbivore, okay. So yeah, this tropical forest, again, it's a little bit sparse. Still interesting, though. Alright. I think we've seen enough of Beta Marae 1, so the next one is Cassiopeia 1. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that Greek letter right. Just earlier today, I was having to learn how to pronounce Sloan Chow's last name, the head of the Barons Rangers in Atlantic City. And it's because it's spelled C-A-O, which apparently is pronounced Chow. Or at least that's one of the potential pronunciations of it, so... Alright. Cassiopeia, of course, being the planet that Sarah Morgan crash-landed on when she was part of the Navigator Corps. So if you've done her companion quest line, it brings you here. In the rocky part of Cumberland and the... Okay. Let's see. Deciduous forest it is. I know that part of my family comes from... like, I know it's two specific ancestors of mine that moved to Virginia in the 17th century. One of them was from Londonderry, Ireland. That was the husband. And the wife came from Lancastershire. And I'm sure I just mispronounced Lancastershire. I don't know. There's so many old Anglo-Saxon words in England that just... the pronunciation does not match modern English in the slightest, based on the spelling. Alright. What is that out there? Interesting. So yeah, we got some kind of purple trees here in this deciduous forest. Yeah, there you go. Okay, well there you go. my ancestors may have been your ancestors' rivals. I got some blue weeping shrub. What does this give us? Cosmetic. Okay. Alright, okay. Well, I think that's in it for this deciduous forest. Let's check out the tropical forest, or coniferous, whichever one we can find first. Plateau. Depends on how far back you... tropical forest. Alright. Interesting. I like these, this type of tree. You find this on a few worlds. Specifically, this reminds me of, Tau Ceti 8C. This is the first place. That was the first place I saw trees like this. They kind of remind me a little bit, and only, really, actually, no, it reminds me more of like a bonsai tree, but like an oversized bonsai tree. Like, actually, a bonsai tree that actually grows to the proper size, but still maintains that shape, you know? Oop, toxic gas vent. So the nice thing about these 10 worlds on this list of planets that have all three forest types is that 9 of them actually have a breathable atmosphere. So, that's nice. The only one that doesn't is Groombridge 8A. Ah, okay. Hey Nathan, welcome to the stream. Oh, I'm planning on making a lore video on this. I'm specifically going to be making a lore video on Neon here in the next month. If you missed the earlier part of the stream, I'm finishing my video on Fallout 76's Atlantic City in the next couple days. And then I'll be moving right on to Neon. So, okay. So that's the tropical forest here. Let's check out the... I think we... Where was it? I wish it would tell you where that was. I think that was deciduous forest where we first landed. So, let's see. See if it's easier to see from this. Sometimes it is. Like, this is... Okay, that's a band of deciduous forest there. There we go. Yeah, I'm looking forward to covering Neon. Really interesting city. And I was talking to Jessica Starr the other day for her podcast, and I was talking about just the fact that, like, Neon, because none of the cities are really proportioned the way they should be, based on the lore of the cities, but Neon's probably the closest, because, like, we're talking about an industrial fishing platform that was later transformed into a pleasure city. So, I mean, the one thing I'd say about Neon is it would be larger. It would probably be additional platforms, not just the one. But at the same time, again, it's the closest you find in Starfield to what it probably should be. Okay, what was that? Oh, silverfish. Those things are nasty. The silverfish of Eta Cassiopeia will try to kill you. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, Neon's great. It's also incredibly corrupt and dangerous. It's the cyberpunk sci-fi city of Starfield. I really enjoy these distant landscapes you can get sometimes like this. Alright, so again, this coniferous forest is a bit sparser, a bit more patchy, but at the same time the trees generally appear more coniferous. Oh yeah, no, 100%, because again, it's like it's the second city, effectively. Like, it's the second power center of the Freestar Collective, despite the fact that, again, it's literally a city. And that goes to show just how well off the city is. All right, next we got, like I said before, the only planet that does not have a breathable atmosphere, and that's Groombridge 8A, which has a thin carbon dioxide atmosphere. So, let's check that out. Groombridge, I feel like I remember it being closer to the... There it is. Okay, 8A. It's a moon. There we go. Alright. Plans for making vids on the companions. Yes, 100%. Deciduous forests are nice. See, that's the type of forest I'm used to, having grown up in central Texas. That's what we have. East Texas is all coniferous forest, and we don't really have tropical forest. The closest thing you get to that in the continuous United States is in Florida, but even then, that's not really a thing. Hawaii has them, but anyway. All right, let's see here. Coniferous forest. I kind of want to get, if I can, I want to get some of the view of the gas giant overhead of Groombridge 8. I mean, so the gravity here is the Eta Cassiopeia 1, by the way, is like the closest thing we're gonna find to a second Earth. It's got 1.04 Gs. It's relatively warm, but it still has a good atmosphere. It has clean water, all that stuff. This one, though, has 0.48 Gs, I believe, so you would weigh just under half as much as you do on Earth. Let's see, do we have the gas giant above us? I don't see it anywhere. It's always difficult to kind of, like, figure out exactly how to have that be in your skybox, but anyway. Okay, so yeah, this is the coniferous forest. Got these kind of dark blue-green trees. I like it, and I really like the little blood orange trees sprouting up next to them. You kind of wonder if these are the same species, maybe, and these are the juveniles, and as they get older, if they change color, or if it's maybe even just a completely separate species of tree that simply lives alongside the other ones. Okay, is mainly a former deciduous coniferous forest. Yeah, no, I was actually reading about Ireland recently, and how Ireland was originally covered in forest, and there's like none of it left. It's kind of the case with most of Europe, really. Let's see. Deciduous forest. Let's try... This might put us on the... This will put us on the night side, but again, I want to get a little bit of Groombridge 8 in the skybox. Do we have... Ah, there it is. I will go to a daylight side one, because I want to actually be able to see the forest, but I also did want to get a shot of Groombridge 8, which... There it is. Interesting. I do always kind of wonder, because I've talked about this a little bit. I've been reading up on the Jovian... It's been about a couple weeks since I did this. I was reading up on the Jovian system moons, and basically you get further in than Ganymede, so you get towards Europa and Io, and you're getting towards severe levels of radiation coming off of Jupiter, to the point where it's like lethal doses within a day. Yeah. No, yeah. I think you're probably right about that. We got a rainstorm here. Well, thunderstorm, actually. But this is the tropical forest. Oh. Herding long-neck herbivore. I don't know why I put a silent H on that. What do we got here? Firecracker vine, which produces ornamental. Got cassowary grazers. That is one of the things they fixed, by the way, is that there's no longer any sort of stutter when you turn the scanner on and off. There used to be a little bit of a stutter when that would happen. Alright. Well, let's see about finding the coniferous forest on the daylight side. Some mountains, tropical forest. Let's see if we can see tropical forest without rain. That is one of the more interesting missions in Starfield. It's part of the main quest. Like, it's basically a quest in the main quest, but it's its own quest within there, where it's like got its own storyline and stuff. Really interesting. All right. Yeah. Oh. Are these all herbivores, or... Let's see. Flucking shroomhead grazer. Leafy morning stars. Water. Alright. I think that's enough of the tropical forest. And I've now seen it in rain and not. And again, I wanted to see the coniferous forest in daylight, if I can find it. There we go. After this, we're heading to Lantana 3. Wait, no, we saw the coniferous forest. Deciduous, that's what we needed to find. One more stop and we'll leave the planet. Savannah as well. Sometimes you can find it a little bit easier with this, but not always. Especially when there's not that many different resources on the planet. That makes it more difficult. Like, there's so many times, though, that you see cobalt and nickel together, and you know that you're looking at hills. Alright, here we go. Gotta leave the landing pad a little bit. Hunting bright cages. This shares the a lot of the color scheme of the coniferous forest, so it seems like it's perhaps that the chlorophyll, or whatever variant of it that they have here on this planet, is perhaps a bit more blue in color than simply green. At least would be what my guess would be, other than, or they've got something else going on, some additional chemical that they produce in there. Let's see, any hopes for the next Starfield update DLC? I want, so I've heard rumors that it's going to be something about like Starborn. And I was talking about this just a minute ago. I really kind of wish they would give you a single ship you could take through the Unity with you. Let's see, Lantana I thought was more to... No, it's definitely not that far, right? I would really love to be able to actually... Because one of the concerns I have with the game is that so much of it feels transitory until you get to whatever your final galaxies or your final reality is going to be. And I want more, something more constant to it. Now, I've heard some people suggest that once you go through the Unity once, that they add a planet. Am I just not looking? Am I just not seeing it here? Lunara. I'm looking for L's. Linnaeus. I've heard people suggest that they make a planet that shows up once you go through the Unity once. I don't really know how that would work. I mean, there's already a planet that has a single... that always has the buried temple on it. That's Masada 3. Man, am I just not seeing this? So maybe they could do something with Masada 3. There's Masada, by the way. Having a planet on it that... having something on it that you could basically store stuff in or something like that. I don't know. Or have an outpost there. There we go. That would effectively stick around whenever you go through. Basically something... And it's obviously not something that would stick around when you go through. It's just something where it would be the same across all realities. I don't know how they would make that work, but... Again, that's my main issue with the Starborn stuff. That and the temples, I talked about this last time, I find the temples repetitive. Because you do it something like 24 times a plate, like a universe. And you have to do that, I think it's 10 times to get the maximum reward. Which I wish that there would be some variety in that of some sort. But again, even if they just gave you a ship that would stay with you, because you already have the Starborn ship that you get immediately after showing up through the Unity. So why not have it just be the same ship you took through with you? Now, they could make a requirement that it even be a Starborn ship, but even so, like, again, I would like a little bit more continuity. Because the only thing currently that you bring through with you are your skills, and potentially, I think, the neuromod from Ryujin, but I can't remember if that's the case or not. Interesting stuff. This typically means, when you find a cage brain, that typically means you're going to find a creature that has the same sort of thing on its head, living on the same planet. I don't see it right now, but... Alright, anyway, that's the deciduous forest here on Lantana 3. Let's see. Looking for coniferous, there we go, and we also need to look at tropical. Alright. I gotta leave the landing area. Interesting. This does not look like a coniferous forest. Let's look at this. And yet, it is. Strange. Like, from a distance, these look almost like palm fronds, but yeah, they're actually pine needles sticking off these things. Huh. This is also an interesting landscape. I've seen something quite like this on... Was it Andromas? Or Vega? If it's Vega, then it'd be Vega 3C. Sorry, just one second. Let's see. There's Vega. Or Vega 2C, sorry. Vega 2C. It might be that. This is another planet with life. Welcome to the stream, Felnote. Hope you're doing well. And then let's see here. We've got... Is it Endermouse 2? I think it might be. It's difficult to tell. It could even be... wait, did I say 2? There's 3. Okay, yeah. It could be either one of those. I don't know. One of those and one of these two systems has an environment just like this. And I'm sure there are other planets that do as well. It's just... I remember that specifically because I added that stuff to the fandom wiki of Starfield. Anyway, let's see. What we got here? We did coniferous and deciduous. Let's look for tropical. There we go. Also, I would like more Starborn options in quests. Because they're amazing when you come across them, but they can be few and far between. In my video I did for covering, what's it called? New Atlantis, I discovered that there were no Starborn options there. What is that? Oh yeah, I forgot about these things. Look at that. They produce sealant, and you can harvest it from them as they float alongside you as these little balls. This is nice. I feel like these are really the only plants that really make me think tropical, but at the same time, though, it's a very nice environment. And you got these weird cage brain things. Alright. Lantana also is the system that has the planet I dubbed Treasure Planet, because there is a single planet here that produces gold and silver, and it's the only planet in the settled systems that has both of those resources. I think it's 7. Yes. Yes, it is. Tropical Yorkshire. So yeah, Lantana 7, again, produces both gold and silver. It's the only planet in the settled systems that does that. So if you want your treasure planet, there you go. Alright. Welcome to the stream, Penguin Tots. Let's see. We are going to Mall 5. Again, if you missed the early part of the stream, we're going to the 10 planets within the settled systems that have all 3 types of forests. We've been to Alpha Andraste 3, Beta Marae 1, Eta Cassiopeia 1, Groombridge 8A, and Lantana 3, and we're now headed to Mall 5. But along with that, the links to these charts that include all this information can be found within the description to the video. They are, it's a link to my Google Drive where I have stored this information. So again, Mall, I think, is farther to the east. There it is. By the way, one thing to keep in mind, we have explored such a tiny, absolutely minuscule chunk of the Milky Way galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy is 100,000 light years across, at least is the current estimate. And this is like 50 light years across. So there is much more to the galaxy that we could potentially explore. Let's see. We're going to Mall 5. That's right. Looks Earth-like with its one little moon there. Let's see. Let's go to Mall 5. Alright, so we got an asteroid field here in orbit. Let's see what we got on the planet itself. Silver, cobalt, nickel. That's not a bad combination. Let's see. Going to deciduous forest. Hey! Jim Jam, it's more of your type of trees. I was saying earlier, this reminded me of the Reach in Skyrim. There were these kind of trees. Where was that? Was that Beta Marais or Alpha Andraste? I can't remember. But yeah, where they look dead. They're kind of twisted. Got a Terra root. What does this produce? Fiber. Reproduces via spores. Yeah, it does look a little bit like the outskirts of Sanctuary in Fallout 4. Yeah, unfortunately, I was realizing the other day that, yeah, all the trees in Fallout 4 are dead. At least the ones on the surface. Yellow Autumn Yorkshire. Interesting looking creature over there. Yeah, this is definitely a strange area. Like, this entire area just feels dead, honestly. Like, it'd be interesting to... Like, that would be something that would be interesting if they added it to the game, would be, like, dynamic weather and stuff like that, to where it's like, this specific part of this planet's currently undergoing a drought, which is why most of the plants are dead, you know, or something like that. But obviously that would be a huge thing they'd have to do there. They already have done some pretty amazing work with that stuff. Like, the skyboxes in this game are not static. They are literally representing the stars that are in the game and stuff like that, so... Tropical forest, there we go. Dead Yorkshire. Okay. Again with the rain. But again, we also have these same trees that we saw in the previous world in their tropical biome. Fallout Yorkshire. And we got more of those vector-back grazers. Lattice leaf, those produce sealant. What do we got over there? Unexplored ecological feature. Alright. Well, I think we just wandered into a deciduous biome. They do actually butt up against each other, and you can sometimes walk from one to the other within the map. Alright, let's see. Looking for a coniferous biome. Let's see. Hey Sean, welcome to the stream. Deciduous swamp. Coniferous, there we go. I really like that. That's one of the... Clay, God, I got that wrong last time, too. I apologize. I don't know what's going on with that. What is wrong with me? I'm sorry. Coniferous forest. Did we already see this one? More vector backs. So, yeah, same name, too. I don't know what that was. I don't know why. I don't know why Sean is the name that's popping into my head there. I don't know. We got... Oh, this is a sign that you've got a diseased biosphere, I believe. I'm not sure where... We could probably find one of those if we wanted to. Okay. Again, I apologize for that. Let's see. Okay, we are done on Mall 5 now. Let's go ahead and take a look at Newton 3. So far, Mall 5, not my favorite. Where are you, Newton? Actually, I think it was further east. No, never mind. That's Hawking. I'm thinking about. 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 I'm Okay, Moloch, Masada, Nirvana. And the funny thing is, as soon as I said it, I knew I was wrong, but I couldn't remember what the right one was. Okay, Newton 3. 1, 2, 3. There we are. Okay. Let's see here. Coniferous forest. Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. Other than perhaps repetition from saying the wrong name multiple times. Alright. I should probably create a list of planets that have nothing but tropical forest in terms of forest. Because right now I've got a list that includes all planets that have a tropical forest, but not one that's specifically only 2 of them. Which I'm sure there are people that would like that, basically, because one of them is Porama 2, which is a beautiful... oh, that's a resource, yeah. Water. It's a beautiful planet. And part of that is probably because it has only a tropical forest. Let's see, okay. So, yeah, interesting coniferous trees here. I think these things glow in the dark, by the way, if I remember correctly. Now, I'm not sure exactly what these are supposed to be. Some sort of... lichen, maybe? Some sort of fungus? I'm not sure. Lore expert, how will I think Starfield's lore holds up? Well, I appreciate you calling me an expert. It's always one of those things where I'm always hesitant to call myself that. But I would say Starfield's lore is generally pretty good. The problem with it is that the world doesn't always match the lore. And it's more so just a thing where when you build out a galaxy, not even a galaxy, again, a chunk of the galaxy that's, whatever it is, 1,800 planets, I can't remember off the top of my head, you're obviously going to have to skimp in some areas. And so, for example, probably the biggest example of that for me is like you go to, and this is the case on multiple planets, but I'm trying to give you just one example of it. You go to Vesta, right there. Now, Vesta was the site of the beginning of the Colony War, and it's because of the existence of a Freestar Collective farming colony they tried to establish on this planet, which the United Colonies claimed was a violation of the Treaty of Narion, which had ended their previous war. The Treaty of Narion said you can't build a colony on a planet outside of it, like we have each one of us have these 3 systems. We can't build a colony outside these, otherwise it's a violation of the treaty. Well, the Freestar Collective says, hey, we were just building a farm. We're not claiming this planet for ourselves. The UC said, no, that's a violation, and they all went to war. You can't find any ruins on Vesta of this spot that sparked the beginning of the most destructive war in human history. It's disappointing because, again, it feels like something you should be able to see. In the same way that if we go over to Narion... well, thank you. Is it... I think it's Nira, if I'm not mistaken here. Yes, it's Nira. Nira was absolutely ruined by war. Like, this planet, I think that this whole toxic atmosphere thing might actually be a leftover from the colony war taking place here. Because, I mean, you can see a battlefield of it. We're going to take a quick diversion. We'll come right back to Newton 3. We've only seen the coniferous forest there. So we'll go back to that. But again, we've got a battlefield here that's basically now become a graveyard that they harvest for salvage. And it's one of those things where it's like, if I could have field upon field upon field of this would make me happy. But unfortunately, we have only this little tiny chunk of it. And again, this is something where it's like, I understand completely why it's the case. Because they had to build out, again, 1,800 planets worth of lore. But at the same time, like this, I would love to see this expanded across like an entire continent, where you've got basically remains of xenoweapons there. Like this right here is the offspring of xenoweapons that the United Colonies brought to the planet to fight the Freestar Collective. At the same time, you've got these mechs that were produced by both the Freestar Collective and the United Colonies that they used in like absolutely devastating combat against each other. They had the ship-to-ship combat, they had orbital bombardments. It's like the colony war, the way it's described is something where it's like it would make like an amazing, I don't know, set of movies, TV show, something like that, and we'd be able to just have these incredible battle scenes taking place. But again, we get very little of that stuff that's actually like in the game. And that's the one area that I think Starfield kind of is weak in, is that we get these little flashes of the world the way it should be, but it should be much more dense than this. So, alright, so again, we're going to go back to Newton 3 and take a look at the other forests there. So again, it was there. And let's see if we can find... There we go. Because I think it was a coniferous forest that we saw. We're heading to a deciduous forest. Thank you. Well, it's the same sort of thing with New Atlantis, where it should be... Like, it's one thing for it not to be bigger. More trees like this. You're right back home again, Jim Champ. It's one thing for it not to be the size that it probably should be, because I get that. It's like one of those things where... Bethesda will strip out the boring stuff and leave behind the good stuff, because otherwise you're like walking across like a multi-mile across city. But at the same time, the surroundings of New Atlantis are just completely virgin wildlife, and it's like that's not how that would be. There'd be farms everywhere. There would be like satellite suburbs and factories and all kinds of stuff. All right, so that's the deciduous forest. Let's see if we can find a tropical forest. There we go. Okay. Now this is what I'm talking about with tropical forest. We got the tall palm trees, we got the shorter little shrubs. We got these weird crystals coming out of the ground. That's interesting. Let's see what sort of wildlife we have. Cliff laurel produces nutrient. I gotta say, I don't know. Okay, sap. I don't know what part of that I would want to eat, but it doesn't look all that appetizing. Feels like something that would kind of get caught in your throat as you're trying to swallow it. Let's see, we got glossy stickweed, which is structural. Oh, coral heart filterer. These things are so weird looking. Like, I assume that these like little membranes that they have are maybe their lungs. It's maybe the way they breathe, is they have these little membranes here, that this is the way they do their oxygen exchange. I'm not sure, though. That's just a theory that I've had. Anyway. Okay. So we've seen the tropical forest. I think that was all 3 forests. And again, this, I think, so far is my favorite tropical forest. Okay. Let's see. Next up, where are we headed? Going to Ursa Majoris 2. Okay. Ursa Majoris and Ursa Minoris, I believe, are right next to each other. I'm trying to remember where they are. There we go. Both of these, both Ursa Majoris and Ursa Minoris, both have planets with forests on them, if I'm remembering correctly, but only Ursa Majoris 2, or Ursa Major 2, I should say, because the planet is named different than the system in this case, has all 3 forests. Okay, let's see here. Got a lot of organic materials here. Benzene, chlorosilanes, and carbolic acids. And look at that map. That's bizarre. Okay, let's see here. Tropical forest. Okay. Similar to Newton 3. You never know if it's just weather or if you should always expect this fogginess until you kind of explore these places more, because a lot of the time in the morning you'll get mist like this. I do like these trees too, though. It's got the thinner little, I don't know what you would call that, almost leaves on each frond that way. I like that. And they've got more of these weird little species that look like viruses floating around. What do these things produce? There's more interesting flying wildlife here. Those produce solvent. And it's a non-lethal harvest as well. What do we got there? Moth vine, reducing structural. But where are more of those little, there we go. Sealant. Okay. And more moth vine. Okay. This is interesting. Let's go ahead and see what do we have next. Tropical forest, mountains. I can't remember what we explored first. That's where we are now. I think we have... No, that is it. That's all we've explored here. I was thinking about Newton. Alright, mountains, savanna, deciduous. Okay. This looks nice. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Texas Hill Country. Alright, let's see. What do we got up here? More of these. So you can produce sealant from those. That's your outpost. And you can produce solvent from those. You got two flying creatures and they basically cancel each other out in terms of the properties they produce, or the products they produce, I should say. What do we got here? Iron, water, tantalum. Every time I hear of tantalum, I don't think about Tantalus in terms of like Greek mythology. I always think of Tantalus in terms of the Tantalus drive core and Mass Effect 3, which of course is related to the Greek mythology, but still. Alright. I think that's enough of that. Let's take a look at the coniferous forest. So far, this planet is looking to me to be my favorite in terms of the way all these forests look. Let's see what the coniferous forest looks like. If there we go. Oh. Okay. We got purple pine trees. Very interesting. And we got multiple species, but both of them are purple. It's just a question of one being a bit more indigo, and the other one being more violet. Okay, and look at these. All the other these species here are also similarly purple. Interesting. Alright, well I think so far Ursa Majoris 3 is my, or is it 2? Which one is it? Ursa Majoris 2, or Ursa Major 2, sorry, because again the system name and the planet name are different. Looking like my favorite planet in terms of the overall appearance of all three forests. And it's also nice that they've got these weird little virus particles floating around as a species. Okay, next up we're going to Zelazny 2. I think that's off towards the eastern end of the galaxy. Again, not galaxy, sector, I guess would be the way to put it. Zelazny, there we are. Sent the foremost defined evidence. More discussion channel. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Zelazny 2. 1 second. Where are we headed here? Okay, let's see. Yep, go to Zelazny 2. Oh, crashed. Such is life. By the way, if you missed it in the past 11 days, Super Earth was under attack in Helldivers 2, but we fought off the Illuminate, and Super Earth has survived. Okay. I've never known exactly what causes the crashes. I do know specifically what does cause one crash. And that is if you are in one character and you try to load a save from another character, and they may have fixed this by now. This was simply the case 6 months ago, last time I was trying to do this. It caused the game to crash. So, alright. Does Bethesda use the gear or a vault door in their logo? I don't know. Let's see. Voli. Here we go, Zelazny. Okay. I think we're actually in orbit above the right planet. Yep. What do we got here? Deciduous. I would like to know what all these different flags mean. Because they've got these right out in front of the mast building in New Atlantis, but I never really got an explanation of what each one means. Oh! Again, Jim Jam. Yeah, these are very similar trees for... I think this is the 4th planet where we found a deciduous biome that has trees like this. I will definitely say this is my least favorite kind of tree. Again, this does look very much like the trees of the Reach in Skyrim. What do we got there? Pack Stingray. They're fearless, which typically means they're going to try to kill you. They produce aromatic. Yeah, they're currently attacking something over there. Alright, let's see. Tropical forest. Okay. I like this. I mean, this is similar to, what was it, Ursa Major 2's tropical forest, except for it's actually got green palm trees rather than the red ones that were there. That's a harvestable plant. Sweet golden glow produces toxin. It's unfortunate. It looks like a lovely plant, and turns out it'll poison you. Right. Okay. Moth vine produces sealant. Alright. Let's see, that's tropical and deciduous. Let's take a look at coniferous. There we go. That is an interesting environment right there. The strange thing is you can find those on multiple planets. I would not be surprised if they at some point incorporate some sort of story to explain why it is that they've got that very specific landscape existing in multiple places. Okay, yeah, we've seen this type of coniferous tree before. It's always one of those things where it's like you can get annoyed at the fact that like there are trees like this on other planets, but at the same time it's like if you're forming a coniferous tree, there's really only so many forms that tree is going to potentially take. At least potential forms that it could take that are not going to look absolutely ridiculous. And I would say this is right on the verge of it, so. Alright. Let's see, that's Zelazny. Let's go ahead and check out, I think it's Zeta Ophiuchi. Let's see here, 1 second. I think it's 1. Yes. There we are. Okay. And let's see what we got. Ooh, interesting colors. Okay, we got terbium and tantalum and alkanes. That produces an interesting combination of colors there. Mountains, tropical forest. Okay. Okay, yeah, we've seen this type of tropical forestry before. What else we got here? Tropical maw palm. There we go. Metabolic agent. Some tantalum. What about some creatures here? What do we got? Anything flying? Don't see anything flying. Alkanes. I would love it if the genetics component of that actually had some gameplay value. Currently it doesn't. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to find out that there's somebody out there with a mod that does something with that. Sweet root produces fiber. I've yet to see any fauna. Yeah, there's supposed to be 10 species of it, and you would assume that tropical forest would have a lot of it. I can hear birds chittering in the trees, but I don't see anything large enough to scan. Huh. Is it because we're near this forgotten military base? Is them, whatever gang that's squatting there, have they scared off all the animals? Fallen star palm. Oh, in a golden glow. Polymer. Polymer is a exotic resource, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. Rimworld lore vids, yeah. Okay, there we go. Flocking triantler herbivore. I do love Rimworld, but I definitely know nothing about any sort of lore there. Wow. That is a creepy looking creature. It's got eyes on its antlers. That is bizarre. Okay. Let's see, anything else? Definitely did some interesting work with the animal creation. I guess alien would be the better way to put it. Let's see, what do we got here? Centosual grazier. Yeah, these are... Oop, didn't do that. Very strange little creatures. Yeah, I don't know why it makes that call, but... actually a lot of lore. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Because it is one of those things where it does kind of feel like it's got an actual persistent universe going on in the background with Luciferium and stuff like that being produced, and the whole empire or whatever that's going on in the background there. Let's see, deciduous forest. I think we're in tropical right now. Let's go to deciduous. That creature reminded me a little bit of like some of the stuff you could make back in Spore, honestly. Oh! More of these trees again. If that's what it's called, yeah, the empire that shows up to bestow gifts upon you and stuff like that, and demands tribute and gold and things like that. Yeah. Okay, we got some of these long-necked scavengers. Alright. Okay, let's see. And coniferous. Let's see if we can find that. Mountains. And sometimes this helps. Frozen dunes. Mountains. Tropical. Huh. Hope I didn't make a mistake. It's always possible that I recorded there being a coniferous forest here when there's not. But I have thought that in the past, and with the other planets we were looking at, and did end up finding one. I mean, it's one of those things where if I did make a mistake, then it's a 10% mistake on this on this list. But let's see. Man, I'm starting to think that there is not a coniferous forest here. Although sometimes you look at them and like it something where it only covers like 5% of the planet's surface, so it's actually quite difficult to find them. Tropical, savanna, deciduous, swamp. Well, let me look it up and see if I made a mistake here. Just one moment. Let's see. We are on Zeta Ophiuchi 1. One second. Oh, I did make a mistake. This planet does not have a coniferous forest. I'll have to take it off this list, and I'll have to alter my chart. Well, see, you find these things when you do some checking. Anyway. Let's go to a planet that has a lovely tropical biome. Oop. As the last thing we do. Which is Poroma 2. Gonna get talked to by the ECS constant, or actually we're gonna get talked to by... Okay, I must have been here with this character already. By the locals. Okay, here we go. There we go. Shattered Empires, but... Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's again, there's a whole bunch of lore there. It's just, I know nothing about RimWorld lore, I will definitely say that. Okay. So yeah, it's raining. Let's take a look at the map. Local. Alright, let's head west. Okay, this way. I hope. Ah, there we go. Wrong way. Most of the cities post-war are large ships traveling through space. Yeah. No, it's definitely got some very interesting backstory there. I think the sea bats are hostile, if I remember correctly. These things love to try to kill you and other people. It's one thing about the planet that's not quite so lovely. It's a bit like, they call it cliff racers in Morrowind. Okay. Well, so yeah, I'll update those charts, make sure I fix that stuff. I've been finding mistakes as I've been putting these other charts together, because it's one of those things where it's like, I'll finish putting together a chart and it's like, all these planets have life, and I'll be like, wait, why does this one not have any life resources? Like, oh, because I transposed one line to another, so I just go back in there and fix it. The biggest thing I had with the resource chart was that Beta Marais 1, I didn't have any resources listed. I had them all on my data sheet for the system, but I had never input it into the overall resource chart, so fixed that. But yeah, I'll go back in and I'll remove Zeta Ophiuchi 1 from that chart, and it will be the 9 systems. The 9 planets within the settled systems. We never developed past. Yeah. I hope that's not the future of humanity. I do hope we actually develop faster than light travel. Just because, like, the concept of how disparate humanity would be with people constantly having to sleep through space, and it's like, okay, you want to get to that distant colony that's going to be, like, 60 years, you know? Again, I do hope at some point we do end up actually developing faster than light travel. But anyway, alright, well, I'm going to close things out now. Again, I'm going to go fix that chart, and then I'm going to get back to editing audio. And again, my hope is to get the Atlantic City video done within the next few days. I would say at the very latest I would have that thing I'll have that thing out by Monday, and hopefully by Sunday. We'll see. It would have been lovely to have gotten that thing out when I intended to get it out, which was the month of April, but it's looking like it might be June 1st by the time that comes out. What is that creature out there? That thing is moving fast. Anyway, alright. I had a good time with y'all. I hope to see you all next time, and until then, hope y'all have a good weekend.